Hi, we're back and we're going to read Clementine and the Family Meeting, and we're going to find out what Clementine said to her grandparents about the new baby. Hi, I said, and then nothing else came out. Especially not, it's wonderful. So you're going to be a big sister again? My grandmother's voice said. I guess, I said. Well, I'd say this new baby is very lucky. Gram said, you are an excellent big sister. Luckily, you don't take after your father at all in that respect. I sat up. What do you mean? Well, my grandmother said, and I could tell I was in for a long, juicy story. I suddenly wished Florida wasn't 2,000 miles away, so I could sit beside her while she told it. Well, she said again, your father was 4 years old when Frank was born. Just like me, I interrupted. I was 4 when Spinach was born. Well, that's right, but your father was a very different kind of 4-year-old than you were. He was a hellion, that boy. He was practically feral. Your father, Clementine, was a 4-year-old maniac. You, on the other hand, have always shown immensely good sense. That was the first time in my entire life I'd ever heard anyone say I showed good sense. Would you say that again, Gram? Really loud. I'm going to put you on speakerphone. I'd be happy to, dear, my grandmother said. You always show such good sense around your little brother. Right from the beginning, you were very careful with him, very protective of him. I was? I don't remember that. Oh, yes, my grandmother said. You were a wonderful big sister, not like your father at all. Why? What did he do? I looked over at my father. He made an innocent face and threw his hands up. Gracious, what didn't he do? My grandmother's laughter filled our apartment. We didn't think your Uncle Frank would live to see his first birthday. Your father was absolutely intent on getting rid of him. From the day we brought him home from the hospital, I couldn't turn my back for a second. One time he filled up the baby carriage with pine cones. So you couldn't put Uncle Frank in it? Oh, no, honey. Uncle Frank was already in the baby carriage, my grandmother said. We had to dig him out. Now, wait a minute, my dad began. But my grandmother was just getting warmed up. Another time, I found him trying to put the baby in the dryer. He said his diaper was wet. Thank goodness I got there before he figured out how to turn it on. My father shook his head with a sad face. She's a little crazy, he mouthed. It's all that Florida sun. My mother bent over the counter scribbling something. And then there was the time with the garden hose, my grandmother said. Now that was really... My dad sprang over and grabbed the phone and stabbed off the speaker button. Well now, I'm sure we don't need to go filling her head with any more stories, he said to my grandmother. How's the weather down there these days? My mother tugged on my father's sleeve and held up her pad of paper. Lucky Legs 11, driving the golf cart. She'd scribbled in big capital letters with about 300 exclamation marks all around the page. My father signaled later to my mother, then said into the phone, well, we've had a big day here. Lots of excitement. I think we'd better say goodnight now. Love to you, Pop, you and Pop. And he hung up before anybody could get into any more trouble. I headed into my room and took out a notebook. Dear Grandma and Grandpa, this is her letter. How are you? I am fine. Well, not so fine. I am still looking for the good part about a new baby. Could you tell me more about what a good sister I was? About how I was so protective and showed immensely good sense? You can write on the back of this letter, and also I will send some more paper so you can write a lot. Love, your granddaughter, the only one you have, for now, Clementine. P.S. Also, I lost your hat, and I am very sorry. P.P.S. But I will find it. P.P.P.S. Have you caught Mrs. Grocky cheating at bingo yet? Again, there's the letter. Chapter 4. I told Margaret about the new baby on the bus ride Tuesday morning. She smoothed away some imaginary skirt wrinkles and then said, "That's going to ruin everything. I don't know why you're allowing it." "What do you mean allowing it? What can I do?" "Well, I'd move out," Margaret said without even thinking about it for a second. I tried to imagine Margaret not living in her looks like a magazine picture apartment. But I couldn't do it. Where would you go? How would you move in with me? Or hey, would you move in with me? Margaret gave her, "Are you crazy?" look. "I want my own room. You're out of rooms. I'd go live with my father." "In California?" Margaret nodded hard. "I'd have my own room there, with my own orange tree." "You'd have an orange tree?" "Yes, right outside my bedroom window, so I could just reach out and pick oranges and eat them in bed." Margaret was surprising me with so much today. I was starting not to be surprised when she surprised me. Still, "Margaret, oranges in bed? What about—" "I'd keep a roll of paper towels beside the bed, of course," she said, as if she'd already planned out this California bedroom of hers. "And rubber gloves, and a waste paper basket." "Oh," I said, "well, what about Mitchell?" Margaret gave me another "are ya crazy" look, high power this time. "He'd stay here. He could watch the baby when my mother goes to work. He'd have to change all the diapers." "Huh!" Margaret stopped to shudder from the horror she'd be escaping. Sometimes Margaret can get kind of carried away with an idea. "Your mother's not having a baby," I reminded her. "Mine is." "I know," Margaret said. "I'm just saying if." At lunch, Waylon brought his tray over and sat down to give me some bad news. "If we don't find 18, we'll have to do a different science project," he said. Just hearing Waylon say we might not find him made my throat hurt. I hadn't thought about that. What would we do instead? Waylon piled his carrot sticks onto his slice of pizza. "Vikings. Boarding their ship," he said. I forgot that before Waylon eats something, it has to be in a battle. I waited and tried to think of what would make a good project. Maybe we could build a solar system. Maybe we could recreate the stomach of a Tyrannosaurus Rex with mashed up Triceratops guts and stuff. Waylon scrambled his salad around the pizza. "Bad storm," he explained. Then he plowed his milk carton through the salad and crashed it into the Viking pizza ship. Some of the carrot sticks fell into the water, and Waylon said they were dead immediately. He scooped up a bunch of the not dead ones and started to whack the milk carton with them. He glugged all the milk down. "Okay, Vikings win," he said. Then he took a bite of the ship. So what should we do? I asked him. I think it should be about my superpowers, he said. Huh? I think our project should be about my superpowers, Waylon repeated. He eyed my chicken drumlets for possible battle opportunities. And here is Waylon having the battle. I pulled my tray closer. It has to be something science-y, Waylon, I reminded him. Oh, my superpowers are science-y, Waylon said. I'm going to be a very science-y superhero. Like what? I asked. What do you think he is going to be?